everyone, we're going to practice positive and negative space today using something more organic. So for this flamingo, there's lots of curves in the necks, there's curves at the feathers and like the leg and the knee and everything. So we're going to kind of go through our measurement envelope shape block-in to find where exactly the flamingo is going to be. And then we're going to use negative and positive space to help us judge where the rest of the body is going to go. So I'm going to take just a quick measurement. I think it's almost like 1 by 1. Yeah, it's like 1 by, I don't know, 1 1/5. So it's a little bit shorter this way. So I'm just going to make a little tick marks for where I want my 1 to be. Right, so that's about where my drawing is going to go inside. I could draw the whole box, you know, if I wanted to really make sure that I don't go out of it. But all you really need are those little tick marks that me and Miss Shu-Chih, Miss Isabel have been talking about in class. So from here, we're going to do the envelope shape. So the top of the box is going to be right here, right? And I'm going to think about from like the top of the head to like the right where it starts to curve. Where's that angle at? How the bird's like, the bird's eye to beak area, that's the part that sticks out the most. You know, the lowest part is going to be the leg, so the beak can't go any lower than the leg. Here to here is almost like a straight line. And then the top down. So in my big envelope shape, thinking about just very simple tilts and angles and how much space, how much area this bird's taking up and how big I want it on my paper. Then I'm going to do my block-in. So I'm going to kind of take a measurement, like the leg I think is taller in length than the body. So I'm going to put a little tick mark for where I think the bottom of the belly is going to go compared to where the leg's at, right? I have to make sure that the leg is going to be longer. This is really complicated, so I'm just going to find the height of it right away. The height of it, if I draw a plumb line over, it's a little bit lower than where the belly's at. So if I draw a horizontal line, you know, the top of this arc is lower than where the belly's at. So I'm going to use that to draw. In my personal drawings, I have a lot of lines going everywhere, trying just to judge the spacing of things. And then I worry about cleaning up the drawing later. I can kind of take off that corner and start to move the corner from a box over here, right, to more of like an angle. So I'm almost doing like another envelope shape for this area. I'm going to come through, and this is where I'm going to start using some negative space. I kind of already have in my, like, mentally, but from the inside of the neck here to the outside of the leg, like this little rectangle that's happening, I have to kind of think about like how wide is that rectangle. So if I'm going to draw it wrong at first. If I put the leg way over here, right, we can see that this area is too big to show this area. So I know that that's incorrect, so I'm gonna erase that leg and draw it in the more correct spot. or the rectangle's a little more slim. This line I put right here, that's for the leg going horizontal, and I have to make sure it's going to kind of match up where I think the head's going to go. This is another negative space I'm using. So positive space is the area the subject takes up. So it's the flamingo plus the legs plus the beak. It's all the area that the subject of whatever we're drawing is. The negative space is the area surrounding it. So in this case, it's kind of this brown bluish background, right? It's just all the space around it. And I'm going to get into here now and start to create curves by straight lines. So I had just like an L shape at first, and now I'm going to come through and start to put in a little bit more of my curve shapes here for that neck. And it's important to do this step first because this is so complicated to draw, like just in general, it's hard. It's hard to draw curved shapes. So before you really hunker down and put details in, you want to make sure that they're in the correct spot. So I think I actually made my box too wide because I don't think the head goes out to here. So in my sketchbook, this doesn't really matter, right? That like the head's not going all the way out to the box. I'm just gonna move the bird in and it'll be fine. If you were doing a real project though, where this bird maybe ran into a tangent here, or maybe it was getting cut off the page, or whatever the case is, that's where you'd have to kind of shift over the whole box and reblock things in over to the left or to the right, depending on what you would need. It's okay to get the box measurement a little off. You know, it's hard. There's a lot of human error when we're measuring things. So I don't always expect you guys to get it completely correct. Like I didn't get mine correct, but mine was pretty close. So I want you guys to always aim to get it correct, so that way you always fall to pretty close. And now, right when I block this shape in between the legs, that triangle shape, I think it's pretty spot on. So I know that like I've done everything around this shape correct because that one's good as well. That they all like lined up right at the end. Sometimes this happens to me where I'm kind of putting the final marks in and then it's wrong, right? So something else is off about the drawing if it's not lining up. I'm getting a little too complicated with this shape, so I'm just going to go back and think of simple angles. The knees kind of have like a little bit more of a bulge in them. And then I think this beak could get longer. Or it needs to look longer. A lot of times to make things look shorter, or in order to make things look wider or thinner, it's just about making them look shorter or taller. So like this beak needs to appear longer, but I don't think it needs to actually grow longer. I think my drawing was too wide here. So if I make it thinner, it's gonna make this feel longer. So that would be my rough start, right? I did the box shape, I did the envelope shape, I did the block in, and I used a lot of negative and positive space to make sure my drawing was correct. And then once I get to this point, I would start to do either to value statement and or contour. So that's when I would put in like the perfect curve of the neck.